In this video, I thought I'd do a little self-introduction to kind of explain my background and how I kind of came to this whole thinking. So my name is Timothy. I live in British Columbia in Canada, where on the West Coast, I'm part of the millennial generation. I'm currently working as an accountant. My previous job experiences included, McDonald's, Costco, and tutoring. I'm not a big fan of politics, but I try to stay up to date as it plays a big role in the economy. I used to support socialist ideas as they appealed to me when I was, working as a young person with little wealth. But now I subscribe to a thought of Austrian economics, where the economy should be free with minimal government intervention, believes in sound money, so none of this currency devaluation, and savings is used to fuel investment that helps improve productivity instead of spending and consumption where it harms the future productivity. My interests in investing came from a mindset that my parents taught me, where I was told to work hard to earn a stable income so I can save up and thrive to support my own family. And that's how my interest in growing my wealth through investing was sparked, as I realized that employment income is only one of many income streams. So I'm in no way a short-term trend or technical trader. I'm simply not smart enough or technically enough in that aspect. Therefore, I focus my efforts on the macroeconomics and fundamentals, as I'm not concerned about being early, but rather in the sector that would be benefited in the future. So for education, I went to business school for education, as I realized it doesn't really matter what sector you work in. There'll always be someone who's running the businesses, doing financing and accounting and all that stuff. So I chose accounting as I was told that, it would be a stable sector or like profession, as, it would be one of the last two departments to be fired along with HR, because you need someone to fire someone and you need someone to pay them out. So as I learned more about economics, financial planning, and finance throughout my education, I started looking into investing for myself. And I started investing around 2015 and 2016 when I was still in school. So, didn't spend too much time, just kind of checked it whenever I was checking my phone during class. And in Canada, with the TXX, the financials and Manulife and insurance, those companies took up a big chunk of the TSX, and that was kind of where most of my investment was in. And once 2017 and 2018 rolled around, I started spending some time in the marijuana stocks like Canopy Growth, ACB, which is Aurora, I think, Aurora Cannabis, and then Afura. And those are the few ones that I've kind of dabbled into. I later on left that trade, I think it was October, maybe 2018, because it was just about to get legalized, and I realized the taxes on it was just way too high, and that's kind of why I just kind of left it. And finally, once it got to 2019 and 2020, so in early 2019 in the summer, that's when I moved my whole portfolio into precious metals, both in a bit of physical and then mostly in minor stocks. And throughout the process, I've just been adding on to my portfolio. As I did more research about markets and history, I realized there were a few like market crashes. And that was the kind of first trigger for me to learn about how economy works fundamentally, as I would like to prevent my savings to be wiped out by my own investment decisions. So looking at like a few um, that I've researched about, obviously this is going to be mostly about the US, as they have been the more dominant power in economy throughout the recent history, with the last 10 years, or I guess 12 years, bull run being the best at global indices, beating other indices, with the previous 10 years being the best in Europe. And I think going forward, the next 10 years should be a China index outperforming other global indices. But going back, so for the United States in 1920s, no one really talks about this. It's kind of the forgotten recession because it was really sharp but really quick recession, so everyone just kind of ignored it. 1929, the Great Depression, which was eventually inflated away in terms of national debt, massive government spending when World War II started. Kennedy slide of 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Everyone was scared that a World War III was going to break out between the United States and Soviet. 1970s stagflation. This is really interesting, where this kind of proves that inflation and unemployment doesn't have to be an inverse relationship. And this is also something that the Keynesian economics really have a hard time like dealing with, because deficit spending is supposed to solve economic downturn or any issues. So Black Monday, Black Friday, 2000s dot-com bubble with all the tech stocks coming up, and Enron was a big deal. Housing bubble of 2008 with the mortgage-backed security, and the massive bailout and the start of QE 1, 2, and 3. And finally here we are, where I'm like looking at a debt and currency crisis. So throughout many films that I've watched and YouTube videos and like very light reading, I learned about different economic downturns in the US, and the lessons that I've learned from those crises have put me to the conclusions that those who govern don't necessarily act in my best interest, as their actions most of the time is by promising something for nothing to get votes. They have a much shorter time horizon, like most of Western civilization is 4 years, and then you go for a re-election. But governments should have a long-term interest of economy and society, but those who are just trying to get votes, they don't care about what's going to happen in like 10 years or 20. They just really care about like right now, how do I get elected? And unfortunately, citizens, love free stuff. And so the mentality of kicking the can down the road comes out, where kind of runs like a Ponzi scheme, where you're trying to take as much as you can from future generations' consumptions to bring it to right now, so we can spend it at the expense of future generations. So to kind of wrap this video up, the question is, what now? So my mentality is no reliance on governments around the world to do the right thing. In short, they are going to continue to devaluate currency to artificially prop up asset bubbles, instead of letting them deflate, letting the bad debts go bad, and let the natural process of deleveraging occur. as you see, a recession happens because the economy is too overheated. It's a cure, kind of like typhoon near the equator where it's getting too hot. And so I'm trying to just kind of look out for myself and those around me, trying to prepare myself for what's about to come. And that's kind of my take, to take matters in my own hand, by performing research and studies to grow what's left of my wealth after the government has its way with it. So thanks for watching.